Hey, it's Break It Down with Rick and Tim. We're live on location.
Kinda.
Yeah. We're waiting for the MAGA march to come by, so we got our spots here for the parade.
MAGA!
Oh, we got two MAGA dogs over there. They're MAGA-licious.
What is that?
I don't know. MAGA fantastic.
That's what their cake tastes like.
So on this podcast, we're going to be talking about the indictment of Donald Trump again, the third one.
Right, the third one.
I'm sorry, I won't be able to go to Iowa today. I won't be able to go to New Hampshire today because I'm sitting in a courtroom on bullshit because his attorney general charged me with something. Terrible.
78 felonies total.
That's right.
And it takes Tim a while to narrow down which one of the three different investigations, which one he thinks is going to get Trump in trouble. So that's fun to...
Stormy Daniels. All the way.
That wasn't the one you picked.
I know, but it's Stormy Daniels.
All right, anyways, enjoy the podcast. It's audio-based only. Since you know what we look like. What the hell's going on?
It's a good question.
I'm glad I'm Italian. I'm not white.
You kind of are.
Why does it have to be the big chicken? Why does it have to be the big chicken?
Why do you have to say it like that? I was right, and you were racist.
It's Britney, bitch.
I still have a belief that Sasquatch is out there, but that doesn't make me crazy. And you give me that face, and this is my issue with you. You're a questionable person.
This is a podcast where Rick, a Generation Xer, and Tim, a millennial, come together and try to find answers to our changing world.
Break it down with Rick and Tim. All right. Rick, what's that sound?
People are mercilessly booing Mitch McConnell.
Why are they booing Mitch McConnell?
They're telling him to retire
Why are they telling him to retire, Rick?
because he is too old. You saw him in the news when he completely froze up. How sad was that?
Right.
My dad had TIAs, and I remember how frightening that was in the kitchen.
So for those of you who don't know, what is a TIA?
It's like a mini stroke. My dad had them.
Okay. And so here's the thing. We're not certain that that's what it was, but Rick is 100% convinced that that's what it was. And here's the thing. I don't know what it was. It seemed very odd. But what it comes down to is something happened. And, it's a little concerning.
And look at Senator Feinstein.
That's the other thing. Senator Feinstein, also very old.
Not everybody is in tip-top shape like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden.
No, even there are moments where Joe Biden loses his mind. There are moments where you look at a Trump rally, he loses his mind the entire time. It's nuts. Like, I don't know where his brain is going. It just crashed into my microphone.
Do you have sympathy for Mitch McConnell?
Yeah, I've got a little. I'm not going to say I have empathy for him. Like, I get it. Like, he's on top of his game. He's old. He has an immense amount of wisdom, but he's just getting old.
The amount of damage that he's done to women in our country by advocating for those Supreme Court justices that Trump picked.
Well, I don't know if you remember, he viewed himself as the Grim Reaper at one point, and he was proud of it, which is weird to think about. Like, your legacy is causing trauma.
All because of religion.
Well, yeah, and not just religion. It's politics, man. It's religion and money. And what it comes down to is money.
And Tim,
religion's kind of the front man for it, though.
In the Obama administration, Mitch McConnell strong-armed Obama to not pick a replacement for the Supreme Court.
I remember that.
Man, you have to play dirty with these people.
Well, and the thing is, Mitch McConnell even admitted it. Like, it's politics. It's dirty. I know. Blah, but I'm the... So... He's kind of, it was his thing. Like, that's how politics play. And the problem is that you have one side that has no problem playing politics. Like, we will do exactly the opposite of or we will do, whatever it is to win. And then you've got the other side that's like, well, we want to play politics fair. And you're like, well, no, we can't play politics fair if one side just refuses to play fair, period. That are constantly trying to take advantage. What it feels like is they are trying to find any way to bend the rules to their gain, which is fair. But at the same time, it's like the rules are there as a boundary to stop people from deceiving other people and taking advantage of them. And so those that look to the furthest edge of the law and try to exploit it, like their goal is to exploit people in the fairest way possible. And it's frustrating because it's really easy to do that.
I think it's all about control.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like you have to control people, and it's about money. It's how can we manipulate people into getting what we want.
It's interesting that on our dollar bill it says "In God We Trust."
Well,
when it's the dollar bill that we trust.
Well, it is, but again, like
God and money.
Well,
wow. Whoever thought that up?
Well, it's ironic to me. It's ironic to me because this, like I've had multiple people say, "Hey, you know, in the Bible it says you give up all your worldly possessions and you pick up your cross. When are you going to do that?" And then I look at the person that tells me that, and I go, "Well, when are you going to give up, you know, the 20 acres that you own, the big lavish 4,000 square foot house with the 3-car garage, the boat, the camper, the pickup truck, the giant SUV that you're driving around a small town, right, as your commuter car? When are you going to give up all that stuff, right?" But no, it's okay because I got a psalm on the side of my boat.
Right.
Right?
Can you hear the airplane? For those of you that are listening, we are broadcasting live from the Capitol.
Right? No, that would be great.
We are outside for once.
We are outside, and we are in the incoming path of an airport.
And we're surrounded by mosquitoes, and I have my
that
mosquito
is false.
repellent.
I have a bug zapper that's been up for a while.
They're circling us like vultures.
I'm sure they are, but I haven't gotten like a bug bite in a while.
Yeah, you can see my skin glistening from
the DDT.
Yeah. We are talking about today something very, very big.
It is very big, and it's history in the making.
We ended our podcast.
We did.
But then we left it open to discussing breaking news, historical events that occur, and just 2 weeks after our podcast ended, boom, this tremendous indictment happened with Donald H. Christ.
Donald H. Christ.
Yeah.
That's right. And we all saw it coming, but here's the reality of it. It was just a matter of time, and the media moves like lightning, just boom, everything spreads, and
except for the law.
And that's the thing, the judicial branch of the United States moves very slowly, and there's a reason for that. Now, here's the thing, it doesn't move very, very slowly. It moves slowly in comparison to the media, right? But honestly, our judicial system moves very quickly. It just feels very, very slow to everybody else because we're so used to getting instant gratification.
Right. The January 6 insurrection was over 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, Donald Trump's been impeached. It was for a second time.
Right.
And then we had the J6 investigation committee, which consisted of 9 seats. 2 were Republican.
That's right.
And that was
gripping. They were rhinos, Rick.
Okay, sure. But they were still on the Republican ticket.
Well, yeah, but they're rhinos.
What does rhino mean?
Republican in name only. Meaning that it's just like you're a fake Republican. So like Liz Cheney, most Republicans, I wouldn't say, I don't know actually. I don't know because I'm not a Republican.
I know.
I would say a lot of Republicans
I know.
view Liz Cheney as not a real Republican.
Trump Republicans.
Yeah.
Because she went after Trump.
30% of the United States, as a matter of fact.
The cuckoo Christian extreme evangelical Republicans like her because she says Democrats like us want to kill babies.
And that's to make sure that every American understands what today's Democrat Party stands for with respect to babies and with respect to the murder of babies. We have seen now in states across the country the introduction of legislation that would enable the killing of babies. This is not about abortion. This is about killing babies after they are born. And I want to ask mothers across this country to join with us to make sure that we don't see our maternity wards turned into killing fields, which is what the Democrats would do if we don't stop this.
Is that what she says?
Mm-hmm. She fell out of I was all like for her and like, yeah, go Liz. And then when I saw her make those comments, I was mortified.
Here's the thing, like, the moment you say, like, when you bring like children into the mix to wreck somebody, that you know that you're BSing, because at the end of the day, like, you should be able to, if somebody's doing something that is causing harm to a community, or if they're doing something that is, you know, violating the rights of other people, they should be able to point that out. But instead, they have nothing, so they go to baby pedos and things of that nature. And that's just history. When you don't have any defense, you try to make your enemy look the worst you can, and the thing you do is you go to pedophilia and allegedly. And if Liz Cheney is doing that, then it's just a playbook out of the stupidest, most damaging strategy that has been in place forever.
She's a politician. That's what they do.
Right. Well, I correct me if I'm wrong, somebody on the internet, but I believe that was the Nazi strategy too, like to, you know, make their enemies look like pedophiles and stuff. So, and I think it went back in time. I mean, you look at like all sorts of stuff. Genghis Khan was supposedly, you know, that kind of stuff. It's nuts.
Just recently, somebody flipped on Donald Trump. Well, I knew it was coming. Mike Pence.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
He said the former president is entitled to the presumption of innocence, innocent to proven guilty, and that our country is more important than one man.
Yeah.
Our Constitution is more important than any one man's career. And now he's a target.
Well,
again.
But here's the thing. Here, at the end of the day, this is why it's not going to affect Trump, because all he's going to say is, yeah, he's my political opponent. Of course, he's going to say that. He's going to make sure he's going to be all BS and blah, 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 blah. He's going to attack Mike Pence as a liar, and he'll win because he has a bigger base.
The prosecution is now asking the judge to put the kibosh on Trump because he's witness tampering, since Mike Pence is a witness to the insurrection.
Sure. So Mike Pence is a witness to the insurrection, and he is potentially going to testify. But here's the thing. Let's go back to why they're doing this. What did Trump say?
Well, initially it was, if you come for me, I'm coming for you.
Right. And so here's the thing. Part of Trump's brilliance is being extremely vague. He makes vague threats, and they're innuendo, right? It's read between the lines stuff. And that's the thing that irritates me with a lot of people who follow Trump, is everything has to be literal, right? It is what he literally says. This is what we literally see. If he literally didn't target somebody with that tweet with a name, then literally it's at nobody, right? And that's the problem, because it's about this literal thing. But there's so much to reading between the lines that they just, I mean, it's, how can you not see it, right? I mean, come on. It's on the surface level, maybe the words aren't that damaging, but if it's in a certain context and it's directed at, if there's innuendo to it, I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can read between the lines.
But that's the thing. That's the one thing, is all of this is about reading in between the lines, and people for some reason have to have verbal. They have to hear it, and it's never going to be said. It's like in that Jason Aldean video, right? If you listen to it, the words are fine, but then you look at it in context and you're like, okay, I'm reading between the lines here, and there are nooses there.
Oh yeah, and the music video doesn't help.
No, that's what I'm saying, Rick. What do you mean the music video doesn't help? That's all it was the music video. It was fine before the music video, is what I'm saying, right? And so it's all about the innuendo. So you see the music video, and all of a sudden, oh, now it clicks. This is what he's wanting people to think. And then, well, no, in the music, it's great music, blah, 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 but read between the lines, idiots.
And don't forget Jason Aldean, for those of you that are listening to this. He was the performer at Route 66 when we had the biggest mass shooting in United States history occur in Las Vegas, and I was there 2 blocks from that event that night. And let me tell you, it was a very scary night, and Jason Aldean did not tell the audience to duck and cover, nothing. He just went running off the stage when the bullets became apparent. And he's a coward. Yeah, how about you try that in a big town, you I'm not going to say. I'm not going to.
I guess we triggered Rictor.
Oh, here we go.
Rictor, what do you think of Jason Aldean?
This is the Let's Trigger Rictor segment.
This is. This is great.
I think someone should slap him because he's a coward and he's feeding off of these cowards by feeding into their propaganda with his music.
Well, yes. And what he's done is he's ignited a controversy that sheds light on something that was completely a black eye in our history. And and this is the argument that people have made to me. Oh, well, if that's the case, then every historical building can't be featured in a video. And I'm like, okay, so I just want you to explain to me. I just want someone to explain to me. What is the point in that video of shooting that scene in front of that particular courthouse? What is the point? Because there is a point to be made, and a point was made. And I just want someone to explain to me what that was and how it's not racist.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, right, I was arguing with somebody over this particular situation, and it comes down to, look, you can't say just because he's got one swastika on his arm he's not a Nazi.
He's an opportunist.
Yeah. And he's playing on people's emotions. Look, he triggered me.
And has the #1 song in the country.
Vomit.
And it's become the new MAGA anthem.
Oh, I'm sure it has.
Yeah. I'll think I have to say that when you say try that in a small town, Matthew Shepard.
Yeah.
Hey players, this is Matthew Shepard, and Matthew was born on December 1st, 1976 in Casper, Wyoming. Throughout his youth, Matthew was known to be very friendly, but in high school he was often targeted because of his small stature. While in high school, Matthew developed a love for politics, so in 1995 he enrolled in the University of Wyoming and majored in political science. Unfortunately, on October 6, 1998, Matthew was tortured, beaten, sexually assaulted, and left for dead. He was tied to a fence for 18 hours. He died from his injuries 6 days later. Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson were charged with first-degree murder, and in court they used the gay panic defense. The defense was unsuccessful, and they were sentenced to life in prison. After Matthew's murder, his mother, Judy Shepard, led the fight for hate crime legislation. And finally, in 2009, President Obama signed the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crime Prevention Act. Matthew should definitely be here, but we can use this time to honor him.
Okay, so we digressed a little bit. So regarding Mike Pence and what Donald H. Christ said in his word salad vomit diarrhea of the mouth on his Truth Social, he goes on and on and on and says that Pence has gone to the dark side.
Pence has gone to the dark. What is the dark side?
And talking about how, he was responsible for saving Mike Pence's career, and he was about to be ousted as the governor of Indiana until he made him VP. And claimed that Pence was at 2% poll numbers. And is that witness tampering by dragging a witness through the mud? I guess that would be.
Well, here's the thing. You have to understand this is, again, a very, very tough line to draw, because Mike Pence is not just a witness to this case. He is Donald Trump's political opponent, and that is what the argument here is. Should he be allowed to compete against his opponent when his opponent is a witness in his case?
There's a lot of historical firsts with this case.
This is something crazy. I have to teach this to my kids. This is going to be wild.
Come September, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new things that have happened in the next month. When Trump posted, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you," the prosecutors are asking the judge for a protective order on evidence. And they're taking that post of his as a promise for revenge. And I guess the judge, Chutkan, gave Trump's legal team until 5 p.m. on Monday, that would be, 2 p.m. our time?
Right.
To respond to the government's request. Here's what Trump's spokesperson said regarding his vague threat. The Truth Post cited is the definition of political speech and was in response to the Rhino, China-loving, dishonest, special interest groups and super PACs, like the ones funded by the Koch brothers and the Club
the Koch
for No...
brothers.
Oh, I said it wrong?
The Koch brothers? K-O-A-C-H?
K-O-C-H.
K-O-C-H, whatever that.
The Koch brothers.
No, it's the Koch brothers.
And the Club for
Like
No
cocaine,
Growth.
Or Coca-Cola. Let's go with Coca-Cola.
God, could you imagine trying to be Donald Trump's defense attorney right now?
The Koch brothers are the bad guys now, huh? Interesting.
Governor Christie's been mopping the floor with Donald Trump.
So I want to point out again that what you just read there, whatever that was that was a response from Trump's legal team?
His spokesperson.
Okay, his spokesperson. Okay, well, yeah, that was full of just, name calling, which, I mean, look at this, rhinos, right? Let's just start with the name calling again. It's just, this is what it has come down to be. How long before Mike Pence just breaks down and just shouts at Trump live on camera, "You tried to have me hung"?
I don't think Mike Pence has testicles, because in order to say that to Trump's face, no, that man is a walking vagina. He is what we call
on the crowd, your mob, to hang me.
He is what you call a poussoir.
Do you think that they're going to have any Republican debates?
I hope so.
They
It'd be
have
great.
to.
Governor Christie will just mop the floor with all of them.
He
will.
I mean, Governor
Yeah, he
Christie,
will.
but he's not on a mission to become president. He's on a mission.
He's running
to
for president.
No. Well, here's the thing. I think he's running for president, and it would be wonderful. But I don't think he believes he's going to be president. I think that he is running for president to stop Donald Trump from being president.
Okay, so let's give Governor Christie the merit of intelligence. He is smart to a point. He was a prosecutor, and he now sees this as an opportunity to come out swinging against Donald Trump. But it's at a detriment to his political career, because look at what happened to Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger.
Right.
So right now, the Republicans are embracing Trump further than, I mean, they are just he's their golden
they've drunk
child.
the Kool-Aid, so I might as well follow your golden boy down the rabbit hole, which could end in prison. But yeah, I don't think Christie thinks he's going to win. And you can see in his announcement, he says, he might not be successful, but at the end of the day, like, the goal is not to win for him. I think it's just to destroy Donald Trump.
Let's play that clip.
Okay.
The more divided we are, the more likely we are to be dominated by a single leader. We cannot sit by and watch this happen. I can't guarantee you success in what I'm about to do, but I guarantee you that at the end of it, you will have no doubt in your mind who I am and what I stand for and whether I deserve it.
No, he's eating right now. He can't be bothered.
So with the January 6th indictment,
Okay.
officials repeatedly told Donald Trump there was no evidence of election fraud. Trump allegedly enlisted the help of 6 unnamed co-conspirators.
That's right. There are 6 people named in the indictment, right?
Kind of named.
Kind of named.
We were
They're
able to-
not
we're-
kind of named. They are individuals.
And we were able to figure out 4 of them
4 of them, that's it?
at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go down that in just a moment.
Okay.
Then there's the false elector scheme.
That's right. That was nuts. Let's just send different electors. We'll just send our own electors. Why send the actual state electors when we can just send ones that we want?
Yeah, and depending on the state, they're facing jail time.
Right? Because that's nuts. That's impersonating like a federal employee.
A top Justice Department official's effort to delay election certification. Trump turned to Pence as January 6th approached, and how Trump reacted to the attack on the Capitol.
Yeah.
There are 4 charges in the federal January 6th election case. 40 charges in the classified documents case. 34 charges in the falsifying business records case. That was the one in New York. He now faces 78 felony charges in total, spread across these 3 cases, which don't include Georgia yet.
Georgia, and that was the call for the votes.
Yeah.
Call that we all heard. So, I mean, let's be real here. It's coming.
To reverse the outcome
I
in
just
Georgia.
need... How many was it? You remember?
Yeah. 11,780.
11,780 votes.
Get ready for his Trump impression, guys.
Goodness gracious.
Do it again.
Terrible. I can't.
You were doing good right there.
I was doing fine for a while. And then all of a sudden, you got in my way and in my head.
That's
and
good.
there I was.
Just be a little bit more nasally and you got it.
That's
all
right. He does
So the four that we're able to piece together, we have Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy Giuliani, that's
Yeah.
right. Oh my! And can we just all remember he farted audibly on camera many times?
Yeah, and his hair club from men was dripping down the side of his face.
Oh my!
He's
He
so
melted
gross.
on
He's
camera.
so gross. And then that Borat movie where he was about to expose himself. to
That
one
situation,
actress.
Jesus.
And now he's being charged with sexual harassment. by his
Here's the thing:
assistant.
like this guy was America's mayor. Let's take a moment for Rudy Giuliani because he is a character out of a comic book.
He was always an opportunist, and he saw 9/11 as a way to become out as a hero. All he did was walk up and down the streets after the attack.
Right,
When the cameras were following him.
And that's the thing. And then he became America's mayor, and he was an inspiration at the moment we needed him to be. And then what the heck happened?
Well, yeah, So the indictment describes co-conspirator 1 as an attorney who was willing to spread knowingly false claims and pursue strategies that Trump's 2020 re-election campaign would not pursue. Giuliani served as Trump's personal attorney and was central to efforts by the Trump team to overturn Joe Biden's 2020 election victory.
Right. I remember they did a documentary on this or something along that line. So they were interviewing some of the, it was when they were going through the testimony of some of the staffers. And they said there were two legal teams, one that was like legit and one that was absolutely nuts balls. And Rudy Giuliani, and that consisted of these people like Sidney Powell and all these other people, and they knowingly knew that there was no evidence, but they just kept going to each state and doing their thing.
John Eastman, I remember when he was interviewed for the January 6 committee, and his testimony was very chilling because he just kept saying, "Plead the Fifth, I plead the Fifth. I plead the Fifth. I plead the Fifth."
Assert my Fifth Amendment right against being compelled to be a witness against myself.
Did the Trump legal team ask you to prepare a memorandum regarding the vice president's role in the counting of electoral votes at the joint session of Congress on January 6, 2021?
Yeah.
Dr. Eastman, did you advise the President of the United States that the vice president could reject electors from 7 states and declare that the president had been reelected?
Yeah.
Dr. Eastman, the first sentence of the memo starts off by saying 7 states have transmitted dual slates of electors to the President of the Senate. Is that statement in this memo true?
Fifth.
Did President Trump authorize you to discuss publicly your January 4th, 2021 conversation with him?
Fifth.
So is it your position that you can discuss in the media direct conversations you had with the President of the United States, but you will not discuss those same conversations with this committee?
Fifth.
Right.
That was like, oh my God. He's co-conspirator number 2.
The fifth.
And he was an attorney who devised and attempted to implement a strategy
Fifth.
to leverage the vice president's ceremonial role overseeing the certification, proceeding to obstruct the certification of the presidential election.
So wait a second, back up there because I was trying to be stupid and I missed out. So this guy was the guy who was behind the idea that Mike Pence could overturn the election. And so he basically drafted up what Trump would do and say to get Mike Pence to overturn this election. And he was the guy that basically was saying, look, you need to tell him that he has the authority, blah, blah, blah. So he's the architect.
And then we have the cuckoo, Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, oh my goodness, this lady. She was concerning to watch because she just was so matter of fact. Here's what we know. And it was just like she was just so sure but so dull about it.
And stoic.
That. It's just...
There was no differential wave to her voice. It was just very monotone.
Well, and in her interview with what's the people, she...
on Fox News, we talked about that.
Was it the interview on Fox News?
With Dominion.
Yeah.
Our Dominion podcast.
but also her interview with the prosecution when they released the stuff, right? They released those interviews. Remember those? She even said that, like, how could anybody believe anything that I said? It was all just stupid. And that was her defense.
The indictment describes co-conspirator number 3 as an attorney whose baseless accusations Trump embraced and publicly amplified, even though he privately acknowledged to others that the unfounded claims of election fraud sounded crazy.
Right.
And now we have Jeffrey Clark, co-conspirator number 4.
Right.
He's described as the Justice Department official who focused on civil matters and worked with Trump to use the Justice Department to open sham election crime investigations and influence state legislatures with knowingly false claims of election fraud. And he's also the guy that said Trump could use the Insurrection Act and take control.
That's right.
That one's scary.
Okay. Because that's
using the military.
And that's where the divide happens, right? That's one avenue to taking over the government. That would be, because that would be crossing the line, because you'd have people who'd say, no, you can't do that, and people would say, absolutely he can, and then boom, civil war, which is nuts.
Now, those are the 4 obvious co-conspirators. They're not being charged yet, which makes people think possibly they're helping the prosecution.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. So out of those 4, which one do you think will probably flip on Trump? Giuliani? Sidney Powell? I think those 2 are the weakest links.
Sure.
Eastman and Jeffrey Clark are pretty intense dudes.
They are intense dudes, but you have to wonder, are they so intense that they are going to go down with the ship and try to just deny, or are they going to say, hey, here's the deal? But here's the thing, at the other end, you got one guy who literally planned it. He's the architect, so he's going to have to deny. Like, that's his, what other play does he have?
Right.
And then the other guy, one more time, read him. You can edit this out.
Jeffrey Clark, he was the one that wanted to use the Justice Department as a focus on civil matters, the Insurrection Act, and worked with Trump to use the Justice Department to open sham election crime investigations and influence state legislatures with knowingly false claims of election fraud.
So
he was the muscle.
So he wanted to open up, like, investigations into election fraud using the Justice Department.
Yeah.
And that's when
using our own government systems illegally.
Bill Barr did open up investigations, and he came on and said there's absolutely nothing.
That saved Bill Barr.
It saved Bill Barr.
Because until then, he was fluffer number 1.
Well, and he still kind of was, and he still kind of is. But at the end of the day, he was a rational person. He saw a rationale. Well, he saw this coming, right? And he said, I'm not going to be a part of that.
You have to remember, a conspiracy crime is completed at the time it's agreed to and the first steps are taken.
That's it.
That's when the crime is complete.
Because you look at him, he's not an idiot.
Yeah. You know, there's 2 people that weren't mentioned in this, Mark Meadows and Jared Kushner. So people are speculating if they're helping the prosecution. Time will tell.
If he is named as a co-conspirator, which you think he is.
Well, but no, I didn't say that. I just say
you think he might be one of the unnamed co-conspirators.
He might be, but I said that's interesting that he and Mark Meadows were not mentioned. So let's go down the remaining 2 co-conspirator positions. Co-conspirator number 5. The Washington Post thinks it could be Kenneth Chesebro. The indictment states that conspirator number 5 was an attorney who assisted in devising and attempting to implement a plan.
Okay, hold on. Before we get there, just real quick with the Jared Kushner thing, because it's on my mind and I can't get it off. I just think that he might have been there and he might have just been like trying to talk Donald Trump down, maybe.
We don't know. He could have been reading him a bedtime story.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. So I'm not sure. Like he could be a co-conspirator, but I just don't think he's a strong enough candidate. But I think there might be more. So I think he is a candidate, but maybe not so much. I don't know.
Jared Kushner testified that he was taking a shower during the Capitol riot.
So let's go down the list of the remaining two positions.
Let's do it. Okay, go.
Co-conspirator number 5 was an attorney who assisted in devising and attempting to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct
This
the
is
certification
crazy.
proceeding.
So this is another area where we almost, again, lost our democracy, our process, because they said, hey, here are the electors from our state. And what state was this?
It doesn't say. It just says the indictment states that
Okay.
Co-conspirator 5 was an attorney who assisted in devising and attempting to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification
So let's
process.
take our electors that we have in this state, and instead of using the ones that represent the voters, we're going to just put our own electors in. That's crazy.
Well, the Washington Post thinks that Kenneth Chesebro could be co-conspirator number 5.
Because that's just absolutely nuts. That's just saying we're just going to ignore the process and we're going to, we're just going to do our own thing.
This
very
next
entitled.
One, this last and final co-conspirator could be Jared Kushner or Ginni Thomas, because it is a political consultant.
Okay, so we know who Jared Kushner is.
Ginni Thomas is the wife of Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice.
You think Ginni
Ultra MAGA.
Thomas?
Let's read this.
Okay.
Co-conspirator number 6 is described in the indictment as a political consultant who helped implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding. Specifically, the indictment alleges that this person sent co-conspirator 1, Giuliani, an email identifying lawyers in the 6 swing states who could assist in the phony elector effort. It claims the person participated in a conference call about the effort in Pennsylvania and circulated language for that state's certificate. On the night of January 6th, this co-conspirator looked for senators' phone numbers for Giuliani to call in an attempt to further delay certifying the electoral votes.
It cannot be Jared Kushner.
Okay.
He would not let Giuliani near him. I don't think. Because I feel like Jared Kushner would have recognized the two groups of lawyers, and he's smart enough, because he's worth more than Trump. He's just along for the ride, right? And doing what Trump wishes he was doing. And I don't think would let the crazy side, the crazy group, influence him.
Could it be the chief of staff, Mark Meadows? He wouldn't be considered a political consultant.
So why do we think it's Ginni Thomas? What relationship did she have to Giuliani?
I don't know, but that's what people are thinking.
People are thinking Ginni
as a political consultant.
But does she have a history of consulting Giuliani? Does she have a relationship with him?
Yeah, she sent him a Christmas card and had Thanksgiving dinner with him and lit fireworks with him on the 4th of July.
Is this all true?
No.
Fuck you. But that's hilarious. But you know what I mean, though? But this is the important thing. Because here's the thing. Again, I'm looking for some evidence of it, because otherwise it's just speculation.
Well, it's all speculation until all the facts
I understand.
come out.
Well, it is speculation, but you can still follow some clues.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Speculation is growing.
Oh boy, speculation is growing.
That Virginia Ginni Thomas is one of the alleged co-conspirators.
Alleged co-conspirator.
Yeah, let's see why.
Whoa.
Co-conspirator number 6.
Co-conspirator number 6 is proven.
More difficult to identify.
Much more difficult to identify.
And some social media users speculated that it could be Ginni Thomas, the conservative activist and wife of Supreme Court Associate Justice Clarence Thomas.
Okay. Oh my God. So again, I'm looking for why they think that.
I'm getting there.
Okay, here we go.
Slow down.
I
enjoy the airplane.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's an airplane.
Okay, so co-conspirator 6 is a weird way to spell Ginni Thomas, tweeted TV producer Jonathan Goldman, though he added that the unnamed person could also be former Trump advisor Stephen Miller, longtime Republican activist Roger Stone, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon.
Okay, there's so many.
My Pillow guy Mike Lindell.
There's so many. Mike Lindell. I saw him on the news, and he's still peddling the January 6th conspiracy lies. It is so funny.
Out of those names we just said right now,
he is playing a character.
Who would have senator phone numbers and information to try and get Giuliani to get others to delay the election? I don't think it's Ginni Thomas now.
Who do you think it is?
I think it's probably either Roger Stone or Steve Bannon, political consultant, because that's what they were to him.
Oh, sure. Somebody who's like, yeah, I got contacts here. Have them.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with them.
Is Trump guilty?
Let me tell you this. I want to go back to one of those people, Steve Bannon. And I don't know if you remember, and we can play this clip as soon as whatever. He said, get ready for a ride, because even if Trump loses, he's just going to come out and say he won the election.
That was Steve Bannon. I remember
Steve Bannon. And it was crazy because that's exactly what happened.
The Democrats, more of our people vote early that count. Theirs voted mail. And so they're going to have a natural disadvantage, and Trump's going to take advantage of it. That's our strategy. He's going to declare himself a winner. So when you wake up Wednesday morning, it's going to be a firestorm. Also, if Trump is losing by 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be even crazier. No, because he's going to sit right there and say they stole it.
Agree.
I'm directing the Attorney General to shut down all ballot places in all 50 states. It's going to be no. He's not going out easy. If Biden's winning, Trump is going to do some crazy shit.
I think Trump's guilty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, going back to that Steve Bannon, I mean, he knew what he was doing, right? And it goes back to the strategy, right? Right before the blue wave hits, because of the voting patterns, come out and say, stop the vote. I want all voting to stop so that I win, because right now I'm winning, and now they're creeping up because the blue wave's about to hit, and historically that happens, and people are none the wiser.
I have two questions for you.
Okay.
And I know you think he's guilty just like I do. The first question is, with these three indictments, Manhattan, this one, and the documents case, out of these three, which one has the strongest chance of getting him a guilty verdict?
Okay, so this one is the January 6th one. The Manhattan one, give me some cliff notes on that one real quick.
That was all about the money. Trump violated the campaign finance laws in paying off Stormy Daniels.
Exactly.
So that's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cohen already did time for it.
That's right. He misappropriated a lot of his funding and inflated his assets and just did a whole bunch of shady stuff. The documents case
and the January 6th case, I think
are what he needs to be. Well, and Georgia.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but it's coming. That dark cloud is looming.
That is
in the
dark
horizon.
Cloud. That is something that's there.
So you think it's going to be Manhattan's going to be the one that does him in?
Well, what do you mean does him in?
Gets the guilty verdict.
What do you think? Well, I think that it's possible that it could.
Out of those three.
You're
going to gamble right now.
I'm going to gamble.
Put money on. Which one's it going to be?
Ooh. This one, what was the third one?
Documents.
Manhattan.
And January 6th.
January 6th. Okay, so documents case, I think, is pretty solid because, again, he's kind of admitting to having them. And here's the thing. It comes down to this. And here's why I'm not going to put my money on it. Because there's a lot of mishandling of documents. And it's just historically been that way. But it's how you handle those documents that have been mishandled, right? Once you find them after your presidency is over, because there's a lot of documents. I get it. And there's a lot of classified documents, right? And so they get mishandled and you move things from one place to another and it just happens. So I understand why Mike Pence had some. I understand why Joe Biden had some. I'm sure every political person has some that is exposed to these classified documents, have some somewhere. And when you find them, you got to return them. You can't just hang on to them. And the other thing is he held on to some of them. And I think I'm speculating here, but they were for political leverage.
Okay, so we're going to take that one out of the equation then. Now we got Manhattan and January 6th.
Manhattan is pretty solid.
And that's what brought down mobsters in the past.
And that's what brought down mobsters in the past. You're right. So there's a historical context to that one. January 6th, I think here's why I'm putting my money on this one.
Ooh, we found one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are listening, Tim chose the January 6th indictment.
I did.
It took us a minute to get there, but it was good to go through the thought process because
Can I tell you why?
Yeah, you get because I realized a few things with you talking about the money and the documents and how everybody's had their hands dirty with the documents. But okay, now we're here with the good stuff. So this is where I'm putting my money on too. So let's hear it.
Okay, here's why this one is going to. It comes down to a very simple situation. Michael Cohen already went to jail for
the Stormy Daniels,
the money laundering thing,
and the mismanagement of campaign funds to pay her off.
And so I think that all of that, like he's already been guilty of stuff.
Yeah, he's individual one,
right? So, and you look at like. Well, I mean, I think there's also we followed so many different trails, right? And that's the thing. Like, and I just don't know enough about the tax documents, right? I just know more about this because I saw it unfold, and it's just I'm waiting for it to fall.
Well,
that's the one we're talking about, right?
Okay, so there's two that will get him, and the documents case it's just going to be like a wash.
I don't think it'll be a wash, but I think. I think I think there's going to be more to that one that's going to come out than we think, and I think we're going to see some malicious intent. Like, I've got these documents, blah blah blah. This is what I could do. Like we're going to have proof because I'm sure there's cameras and and people that are going to testify and say, said I'm going to use this as leverage. Shit like that.
I told you I had two questions for you before I jump into the second question.
Okay. Clean up my rambling, please.
I always do. My second question, I'm going to get to that in a moment. The thing that I think is really going to do Trump in with regards to the January 6th indictment is his defense is it's all freedom of speech with what he was saying that day.
Right.
To a point, yes. But when he said, quote, fight like hell. That's not opinion. That is direction.
You gotta fight like hell.
That is direction.
Or you're not gonna have a country anymore.
Fight like hell.
Better fight like hell.
Direction.
Right? That's direction. Fight like hell. And that's the thing. And you could tell when he was saying it, like he was trying to be gentle with it because he knew he was stepping over the line. And he was like, "Should I be saying this?" But he said it.
Yeah. That's going to do him in those three words.
I think you're right. I think that it's going to screw him over.
And it's obvious with the campaign finance violations and Michael Cohen already doing time, Trump is going to be doing some kind of time or something in regards to New York.
Sure.
I'm sure that's the least of his worries.
Sure.
My second question now, for those of you that are listening and have been waiting for me to ask Tim this.
Okay.
Why does the Republican Party still put this man on the golden pedestal?
Because they can't afford to lose the base that Trump has. That's exactly right. It's their everything.
Money.
It's
all
money.
Comes down to money.
Yeah.
Well, I was confused. I'm like, where are they getting all this poll information? And what's this poll? And why are all these talking pundits on TV saying, oh, it's neck and neck? Well, the New York Times did a poll with Sienna College for the 2024 campaign season. And it was just released this past week. It showed that Donald H. Christ is absolutely dominating the 24 presidential field.
He really is.
The poll showed Trump with 53% support among likely Republican voters. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis with 17%.
Rhonda.
And every other
gracious,
candidate, including your Governor Christie, at 3%
My
or lower.
Governor Christie.
And the survey found...
He is my governor. He's an
And the survey found that in a hypothetical one-on-one matchup without the other candidates, Trump leads Ron DeSantis 62%. to 31%. You're going to love this.
Okay.
As the Times reports, Rhonda DeSantis actually leads Trump narrowly on being seen as likable and moral, but Trump clobbers DeSantis in terms of being seen as fun.
Right, because people want entertainment.
It's WWE.
Well, and WWE, and he had the Apprentice. Jesus, I mean, that's what it is.
Show.
It is this whole show, and that's what they want. They want to be fed. They're the mob, and the mob in the Americas is big. Well, I just want to say this. I want to say that he's leading, but it's among likely Republicans. And if you remember, like his base is about 30%, right, of the Republican Party, right? I would think so. And that's interesting because you're looking for those on the fencers in the Republican Party, and 52%. That's only a little bit more. I mean, it's significant in the full number, but they need more than that to beat Joe Biden, I would think, because at the end of the day, that poll didn't show independence, and independence is the important group because those are the people who are on the fence. Are they going to vote for Trump again? I don't know. That's where the polls should go. Anyway,
but the polls come from the New York Times and some college. It's not a national poll, right? It can't be like everybody's being asked this, like at the DMV.
Well, let's remember what a poll is. Just real quick, a working sample of the United States is around 2,000 people.
And the poll said Hillary was going to win.
Right.
So we can't trust polls. Well, screw the polls.
We have to understand what the polls are, right? And
misleading.
How they can be. They can be, especially when they're that close, because there's all these margins of error, and you have to have so many. Everything's a factor, so it's almost impossible to control all those factors. What you have to do is try to mitigate the biggest factors. And then you have to decide how many of those factors you want to mitigate, right? And it's very difficult to do that because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't trust polls because I wasn't asked. Don't they know who I am?
There you go,
You
Rick.
weren't asked. They didn't ask you.
Well, because I'm not one of the 2,000 people they probably polled.
2,000, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
and statistically that's an okay number. That works. It gives you a margin error of around like 2 or 3%.
Tim, do you know what time it is?
It is time for me to go to sleep. Oh, I know what time it is, Rictor. Good God, it's time to quiz me.
That's right. And now it's time to let's quiz
Tim. Let's say it. The grammar doesn't work.
What is the My Pillow guy's name?
Mike Lindell. Oh my God, Mike Lindell. My Pillow. Can you want to sleep on my pillow?
What does
Dominion?
What does "Let's Go Brandon" mean?
Oh, it means, and you're gonna have to edit this one out. It means fuck Joe Biden. And here's the other thing that irritates me, because if you wear that to like a school, like we know the connotation, and it bothers me when people are like, "Oh, it's my freedom of speech," but I mean, like what you're saying is fuck Joe Biden, and then they get mad at me for using that language in front of their kid, and I'm like, well, you have to understand that that's what that means.
Just say F.
Fuck Joe Biden. I don't have to say F, because why would I say F? When they are wearing a Let's Go Brandon shirt that means F Joe Biden.
This next question is going to take you down memory lane. Stop the steal. Lock her up.
Oh, my God.
Make America great again.
These are all slogans, chants.
But her emails.
Uh-huh.
What about Hunter Biden's laptop?
All things that make MAGA people pee their pants.
Build the wall. But which one is missing?
Oh, my God.
Stop the steal. Lock her up. Make America great again. But her emails, Hunter Biden's laptop, the wall. There's one big one.
One big one?
I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a state's name.
Okay.
Doesn't pertain to the state, but it gives you an idea.
Okay.
Louisiana. What's in Louisiana? Describe Louisiana.
What's in Louisiana? Gators.
And where do the gators live?
In the swamp.
So what's the...
Drain the swamp.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, remember that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What county in Georgia is the district attorney going after Trump with?
The county?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Fulton
County, that's right. Now I remember.
How many votes? Now, we talked about this on this podcast.
Okay.
How many votes did Trump want Georgia to give him?
I just need 11,780 votes.
Very good. Very, very good. That was a good impression.
Bullshit.
Who did Trump ask for that magic present? Georgia's Secretary of State. What was his name?
Oh, what was his name? I don't remember his
Brad?
name. Brad Raffensperger.
Yep. I'll give that one to you.
Okay.
Who were Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, and what was their role in the election in Georgia?
They sound like, so in Georgia, they're she was a poll worker or something, and Trump targeted her.
Yeah, targeted a
and
United States citizen.
Straight up wrecked her life and her mom's life.
The thumb drive.
It was
all they were doing was working the election.
It was nuts.
It's crazy.
This poor lady just became this target of America.
Yeah.
Bam, and then everybody's like, Jesus Christ, Trump, slow down.
And they're suing Rudy Giuliani.
Good, because Rudy Giuliani has absolutely nothing left.
This is the last question. How many seats are on the January 6th committee?
Oh, I want to say 11. 9.
How many Republicans were on?
2.
Very good.
Liz Cheney and who was the other one?
That cutie, Adam Kinzinger. Yeah.
Which, if we want to get to name calling, the Rhinos. Which, whatever the heck. It's just their way of saying we don't agree with them, and they're not really Republican. It's like the people who told me because I'm Catholic, I'm not really Christian.
What do you foresee within the next year before election time? Is it going to be worse than the last one? Are there going to be Capitol riots, or do you think that's past us?
Well, I think the midterms were a good demonstration of what we are going to see. I think that all the police stations everywhere are going to be on high alert. And I think that there is going to be a lot of security around our elections. I don't think we're going to see... We might see an attempt, maybe, or two at voter intimidation. It would be crazy if it hit the fan. There's always that possibility. I think that if there's going to be some craziness, it's going to come from the inside. There's going to be some accusations or something like that. It's going to come from, the processing of the votes and things of that nature.
All I can say is I wouldn't want to be a Republican right now. I wouldn't want to be a conservative with this circus happening.
No.
Because it reflects on me.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's just craziness.
Yeah. It's an interesting time to be alive because I think because of these historical indictments, people are going to be looking at this and studying this for centuries.
Oh, of course, because you've got two different ideas of what is going on in America right now. And one of them is being, here's the thing. The curtains are being peeled back right now because that's the thing. We've got these two different competing ideas of America. And what we're saying is, okay, we have these ideas, these thoughts, these predictions, these things that the media tells us to think. And now we have to wait for the judicial branch to do its process. And it's very slow compared to what we're used to. And the curtains are slowly coming open, and we're going to see some stuff, and it's going to be interesting. And it's going to be interesting because I am going to be trying to, at the same time, teach the youth what's going on, and I don't even think they grasp the history that's happening right now. Is there hope for our youth? No, not at all.
When did you know, wait a minute, something's not right with this guy? Me, it was the Charlottesville BLM riots when he says they're fine people on both sides. That made me go, whoa, wait a minute. When did you slam the brakes on your car with Trump?
Slam the brakes on them?
Yeah.
I mean, initially, and I don't know, for me it was when he was, it was the bus, the President Pussy Grabber. That was the moment for me.
When was that? Was that after or?
Well, I mean, at least that's when I really was okay, we can't have this guy and all. That was a bus that went by because we live in the city.
Yeah, that's right. We're doing a little mobile walk right now with the dogs. But I wanted to do a little addendum to the podcast. With,
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think
so it was Pussy Grabber comment.
Pussy Grabber, yeah. But I mean, both of those things, I'm sure, like added to it. Because at the end of the day, I knew that he was going to be crazy when he came down the escalator.
Right.
Because you looked at that and you just went, "Oh God, here we go! It's a publicity stunt," and that's exactly what it was. I don't know if you remember. They scrambled, and that's the America we live in. That's the problem. Right? There's a mob, and where is that mob? And the mob can't be ruled with or reasoned with.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So we talked about a lot of stuff, and we'll probably come back when the Georgia indictments come down.
Which is probably within the next week or two.
Yeah, maybe so. So we might see you soon.
With also more discussions on big events that are going to be happening in the next year.
Sure.
So look for us on our podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
Right.
And on YouTube.
And on whatever the X is now.
Well, Twitter, we can't call it Twitter anymore. It was Twitter, now it's X. I'm on Threads.
There you go.
You're not on Threads.
Maybe I'll get on Threads. We'll see what happens.
So follow me on TwitX. At Rick_Riolo.
And at Tim is somewhere. I don't know where I'm at yet.
At Tim Breaks It Down. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, we're still there as of right now.
All right.
And we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.
There's some people who say that there are already now 3 indictments against the former president. They argue that even if there were crimes committed here in Fulton County, a 4th indictment isn't worth all the work that would come with it. To people who say that, what would you say?
That I took an oath, and that the oath requires that I follow the law, that if someone broke the law in Fulton County, Georgia, that I have a duty to prosecute, and that's exactly what I plan to do.